Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to Mavs Party? ? Dallas traded into the second round for the 37th overall pick with the Sacramento Kings in exchange for 2 future second-round picks to draft someone named Jaden Hardy. I'm not going to lie. I don't know a damn thing about this player. I know that Tim McMahon said that the Mavericks had him as 19th on their board, which the first thing that came into my brain was, well, they had Josh Green at 18th on their board, but that was a different front office, and I'm trying not to be mean. Oh, man. He's a young man, and that's really exciting. He's a truly a young player, 19 years old. I think he spent time in the G League. I'm looking forward to your takes because I literally know nothing. I spent the evening watching We Built This City. No, We Own the City. Whichever. The HBO show, the one about Baltimore, the incredible, kind of scary one, and mainly followed on the draft. So let's talk some shop here. Coming up first with my buddy Christian. Hey, friend, what's going on?
Hey, Kirk, how you doing?
I'm not bored, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start with my pessimism first. I just don't necessarily understand why we traded 2 seconds when the Lakers got the 35th pick for a second and cash. So that didn't make as much sense to me, but I try to listen to much smarter people than myself about the draft, and my guy Mavs draft wasn't too high on him.
Yep.
The one thing is, though, that he did mention and others had mentioned is if he took the Shaedon Sharpe route, is he would have for sure been a lottery pick. So at the end of it, it's not like he, was awful in college. Like he was at least, like if we're trying to rationalize it, the number 2 recruit coming out, and he played professionally in the G League. Yep. And, was poor numbers wise and efficiency. But the thing I'm excited about is it's something to look forward to for Summer League. And, I think at the end of the day, it's someone with upside, and, he has talent. It just seems like with shot selection and other things really needs to improve. And we might need him to be better sooner than later if we lose Brunson. So, I'm not like over the moon. I'm not super sad or anything, but I'm excited,
Sure.
and now I'm excited for Summer League. So,
well, and I think we have to. Ethan just commented on this in the chat, where in the sense of we knew about the draft day trade for Christian Wood a week ago. So had that happened tonight, we would all be losing our fucking minds the same way we did a week ago. So it's like, if you're thinking about the fact that they traded some Flotsam, their 26th pick, and 2 future second-round picks for Christian Wood, roster slots, and Jaden Hardy, are you mad? And the answer to that question is absolutely not. Wraith asks in the chat, why is there no official announcement on Wood's deal yet? I think that's because it's there's an opportunity for it to expand. Now, what that means is a variety of things. Where there was Kenyon Martin Jr. asked to be traded, more or less. I mean, there's the Rockets are looking to get creative, and so I think that you more or less assume that this is as it was reported last week, it's a done deal with, and you really probably don't want to expect anything else coming to the Mavericks in the short term. But yeah, I mean, I walk away from this and all I really want most nights, most big NBA nights, and this is short term thinking, is to be involved. And the Mavericks were involved, only we found out about it last week. So it's I find myself more or less very pleased.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what I was almost wishing, that it actually just happened, because then we have had this week to be like, oh, who are the Mavs going to draft at 26? And then when it happened tonight, we would have been like, woo! Mm-hmm. But, the one thing I'd say is, this will be the last thing, I'll let others get up. But I was a big fan of Wendell Moore. And I don't know what Shams and Woj were on tonight with the reporting of some of these trades. But Shams ended up reporting, it was like, oh, Dallas gets back 26 and drafts Wendell Moore.
Yeah, that was terrible. Tonight was one of the worst nights I've seen between Shams. Shams was atrocious. And it was, it's just, no, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to be so excited, and I was so we were all talking in the Scott, so CBA Mavs, and several others of us were talking. I was so excited, and then when they sent the screenshot of the deleted tweet, I was not too thrilled, but all in all, a good night. I'll let others get up and speak, and hope to see you at Summer League. You take care.
Yeah, sure thing, buddy. Talk soon. Really, it's a very selfish point, but to have something interesting to pay attention to at Summer League is I'm delighted about that respect of it. Grayson, what's up, buddy? One more time with the mute button. There we go.
I have some. I'm not really super concerned that they traded 2 second-round picks. I'm surprised that Hardy fell as far as he did. And I think it's a pretty low-risk move that could turn out all right for them. And like Christian said, it is Jalen Brunson insurance, even though I don't think Brunson's going anywhere, although the Knicks seem to disagree.
I mean, how much do we want to get into this? I'm happy to talk about this entirely because it seems like, and granted, all we can do is guess, but with what the New York Knicks are clearing space for Brunson to offer him a true four-year full max, which is roughly $30.5 million a year. So it's just over 122 4 years, something like that. CBA Mavs says that it doesn't really matter, but it's crazy because, I got a lot of people who are in my mentions talking about this. I've been talking about this for a couple of days now. What the Mavericks pay Jalen Brunson, I don't know how to express it to people more clearly. I don't care. And why I say that is because I don't think people understand this. We are in the salary tax right now. Or if we're not, we're going to be in it with a veteran minimum signing. I can't remember the specifics, but we're very close to it. So signing anyone, even for the taxpayer mid-level exception, we're in the tax because it's the taxpayer mid-level exception. And so I'm very confused by this. It's oh, well, it's not going to be, I don't know. If I'm trying to understand the rationale because it's like the Mavericks either re-sign Jalen Brunson or they don't have anyone. Like, there's not a replacement player. Sign and trade is not happening. It's not happening. So it's like there's this very weird deal where it's, oh, well, is this guy Jalen Brunson? Is Jaden Hardy Jalen Brunson insurance? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. Like it becomes a very quick issue, which thank goodness it's going to be resolved within a week. Either he's going to be a New York Knick or he's going to be a Dallas Maverick. Like, those are the two options. And it's really strange. The whole conversation makes me uncomfortable because I think a fair segment of our fan base doesn't seem to grasp the fact that this is not an over the cap discussion. This is a salary tax discussion where we will live for the next several years. When you pay Luka Doncic as much as you're paying, kind of by default, you're paying everyone else and you're in the tax. Like, I'm rambling at this point, but like, it's a very frustrating conversation because I think Mark Cuban kind of inadvertently, back to like the amnesty that discussion with Kobe Bryant, reframed this in a manner of, oh, we should care how much the Mavericks are paying. We should care if it impacts flexibility, but salary cap space has never once helped the Mavericks. We're never going to have salary cap space while we have Luka Doncic ever again.
I mean, it seems like Dolan has something against Cuban at this point. I mean, I'm so tired of the Knicks, man. Like, can we just abolish the Knicks?
I mean, if they fuck this up, this is like they're gonna raise that stadium to the ground if they don't end up with Brunson, as they should, because they basically traded away a lottery pick for space.
And guess what, Kirk? They're not getting Brunson. We can offer him more years and more money, and he wants to stay here. So, like, the Knicks are essentially, I guess, going into a rebuild. But I'm tired of the Knicks, man. Like, every time that the Mavericks and the Knicks interact, I get irritated. So, like, let's just stop. Yeah, let's just stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's very wild, and it's. I'm glad you brought it up because I think we kind of have to have the discussion. But you noted, okay, like here's the thing, Grayson, and this is important for everybody. There is a lot of information flooding the zone about Brunson. A lot. You have Jake Fisher reporting on his hilariously named Please Don't Aggregate Me podcast that Brunson is telling his teammates this is a done deal. I have heard some interesting numbers that the Mavericks have a walk away number for Brunson, which doesn't make any sense to me because it's like, are you walking like off a cliff into the void? And then I've heard it's just like there's some wild stuff out there, and we're just gonna have to wait a week is the answer.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say about the Knicks that comforts me is when was the last time they got a free agent that they were targeting?
Which, I mean, it's just I can't imagine. Like, I really like Brunson. But I cannot imagine doing this for Jalen Brunson.
I know that a lot of players probably don't want to play for Mark Cuban, but if there's one owner in the NBA that players probably would rather not play for than Mark Cuban, it's James Dolan. Yeah. That's just like, I'm not Jalen Brunson. My dad doesn't, work for the Knicks, and I'm not in a position to make $150 million or however much it's going to be. So I can't put myself in that headspace. But from an outsider's perspective, I don't know why he would go to New York.
Yeah.
I
don't know either.
Like, everything to lose and nothing to gain.
I've done a 180 on Brunson over the last 2 years. I am wrong on Brunson, but Jalen Brunson is still a low free throw garnering, non 3-point shooting point guard who's 6'3" and has fancy moves. He is amplified by playing with Luka. Yes, he had an incredible game against Utah, but then you look at elements of the rest of the playoffs, there were a lot of times where he didn't show. And that's okay because he's not a super duper star. So I'm very confused by their whole tack. And what I just said there, he's not a super duper star, is why a lot of Mavericks fans are uncomfortable paying him this much money. But I've just gotten to the point where I just don't care.
I'd rather give Brunson $33 million a year than Kristaps Porzingis.
I mean, there's something to it where it's like, guys, like, you let Brunson go, you're basically signing yourself off to Luka being pissed off for 2.5 years.
Right.
I don't know how to tell people that,
Like you said, I mean, there's nothing to gain from letting him walk. They're going to go into the luxury tax anyway. Yeah. I think if they let him walk, it's just further proof that Cuban is the cheap owner that a lot of fans have been saying that he is for a long time now. But I'm optimistic. I don't think that's going to happen. And I'll let other people talk, but I'm looking forward to Summer League, like Christian said. And successful night, I think. Low risk move, and I feel good about it.
Yeah, I'm
Christian
delighted.
Wood, baby, Christian Wood.
I'm delighted. There's just like this is such a if the Mavericks bring back the same guys, let's say they bring back Brunson, I'm feeling nice about all this. But thanks for joining us, Grayson. We'll talk soon. Coming up next, Shishi, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing good. Didn't think I would get to speak.
No, I always try to get you up here. One time I got you in the grocery store. That was one of my favorite
I know that
shows.
And I tried to walk away, but I don't know. It was a very weird situation. I had people staring at me. But anyway, no, I just wanted to get up and say, just for a brief bit, yeah, I'm kind of like you on the situation of Brunson. I'm definitely hoping the Mavs can bring him back. I think he was the second leading scorer, right? Playoffs. I don't think that it makes any sense whatsoever to allow the second leading scorer to walk off when you just went to the Western Conference Finals. It doesn't necessarily make any sense for me. I don't really care if we have to pay Brunson the max, whatever it takes to bring him back, and hopefully we can build on the foundation, those building blocks that were put in place last year. There needs to be some form of continuity there in order for the Mavs to have, just some realistic success, especially with the West just getting much, much tougher over these next couple of seasons. So ultimately, that's my goal. I'm hoping that we can bring Brunson back in. I would feel just a lot more confident about the Mavs prospects if we get Brunson back. If he walks, if he goes to the Knicks, I don't know what this team is going to look like. There are just too many unknown variables there.
I'll go scorched earth if he goes to the Knicks. I'm just putting that out in everyone because it's like you had the opportunity to sign the guy for 4 for $55, and if he walks for 4 for $120, that's a massive miscalculation. New front office mistakes are an old front office. Don't care. Like there's no if this is a walking situation where if he leaves the Mavericks high and dry, I'm going to be so pissed. So yeah.
Even if it's a sign and trade situation.
Sign and trades are almost next to impossible because of how much money the Mavericks already have in.
And I don't see that moving the needle for the Mavs anyway. I feel like the Mavs have a very limited window, right? Yeah. We know that a couple of years back, Luka was in a post-game press conference, obviously not happy. He was saying he's never felt that way before. Something needed to change. Obviously, they traded KP this year. They ended up getting rid of Dunny Nelson, Rick Carlisle. So there was definitely a lot of changes that took place. But I do feel like Brunson being here, building on what the Mavs were able to accomplish last year, is just going to go a much longer way towards making that superstar happy. And ultimately that should be the goal. But anyway, that's all I had to say. I don't know if you've heard anything else I don't know if you got context.
No, well, it's funny you say that. I actually hear a fair amount. I don't ever report because it's not my deal, because there's no value in it to me. Because like all I'm going to be is wrong. Sometimes I'll share some stuff after the fact. I've heard some hilarious stuff, like doomsday stuff, like at least for me. But I also know where it just, it's weird. Like there's no value for Jake Fisher saying that Jalen Brunson is telling his teammates that this is a done deal. If he's wrong about that, and Jake is my friend, I've known him for like 10 years, then I'm going to ask him after the season, like, how could you say that if that's not the case? I'm just going to ask, like, but right now I still feel very confident is where I am with the off season.
Yeah. Brad Townsend said that the Mavs are not in panic mode.
No.
Whatsoever. But anyway, so that was, we went from being real confident, league-wide sources, that Jalen Brunson was going to re-sign to the Mavs, to now the Knicks being legitimate threats. So much changes within like a matter of like 2 days. Mark Stein was literally in a green room or Spotify Live just saying that, the Mavs were, that Brunson, league-wide source, he was still saying actually that league-wide sources were saying that Brunson was going to re-sign with the Mavs. And then like a day or so after that, he was writing an article saying that I guess Knicks were legitimate threats to prevail. But anyway, hopefully that's just an increase. I'm hoping that it's just a tactic to increase Brunson's value and get the Mavs to sign him to a 120,
Right.
whatever so deal.
Right.
Anyway, that's it for me.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming up. Talk soon.
Thanks.
Okay, let's try my man DJ. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, Kirk?
Well, just making it through the evening. How about you?
I'm doing good. I actually feel pretty good about everything. I'm not that concerned about losing Jalen Brunson, simply because of the fact that he said himself that winning means a lot to him. So I don't see why he would go to a team that didn't even make the playoffs this year, and don't seem to be going anywhere, and they haven't gone anywhere in the last at least 10 years. And I don't know, it's just, why would he go leave for that when he has Luka here, he's got Jason Kidd here, he's got a great group of teammates around him that want him here, and the immaculate vibes would just be non-existent at that point without him. So it just doesn't make sense.
This is kind of where my head is. I just can't imagine having a new front office making a catastrophic mistake like this. I just can't see it. And I don't know. I'm just, for as grumpy of a dude as I am, I just have a really hard time with that. So I tend to agree with you, because like they're stripping the Knicks team down to the studs, and it's like, for what? Like it's why we were all for years and years so upset that the Mavericks were having this cap space, where it's like, oh, we have cap space, and it's like, well, we also don't have a very good team, so who cares?
Exactly. Like if this tactic never worked for us, why would it work for New York?
Yep.
And
that's right.
To come away with basically Christian Wood, at least up to this point, Christian Wood, Jaden Hardy, for only 4 guys who were non-factors whatsoever, and 2 future second-round picks, like, I'm fine with that. The team ended up getting better, and once we re-sign Brunson and make whatever, moves around the margin that they make, I still feel good about this team.
Sure. Well, Marcellus in the chat said, I believe New York as a market is way more appealing destination than Dallas, which I guess I think the market stuff is overhyped by media entities. Like, you can do whatever you want from wherever you want as a professional now. Like KD was joking, he's like, I can start my own podcast. Like, you're a big enough player on a sport like basketball. You're a top 25 player. You can be wherever and do whatever you want.
That's right. And I see both sides of it. Like, the market thing is just overhyped. I mean, players want to go where they want to go.
Yep.
I mean, you can go to New York where it's cold and, it's a big market, or you can go to Miami where it's always sunny and hurricanes everywhere. There's something everywhere. But a player's going to go where he wants to go, bottom line. And, I'm surprised we haven't, talked about this at all yet. But the whole Kyrie Irving to Dallas thing, I don't know about that.
It's put on earth to make me angry and make me argue with people who I like arguing. Like, I love a good argument, but I find your take on Kyrie Irving in the year 2022 to be a litmus test for what you think about basketball.
I agree. I mean, even just the concept of Kyrie Irving in a Mavericks uniform, you would think would be, great. he's, one of the best ball handlers we've ever seen. He's, he's a champion. He's done it all. But the things that have come with him and things that he's left other teams on his way out the door, I'm not here for that.
Yeah. It's disappointing because it's like you can't discuss one without the other. And then there's the fact, and I have some – look, guys, you interact with me on social media. I get a kick out of it. I love talking with people. We're all just basketball fans. But that I have to tell people that the Kyrie Irving Game 7 shot happened a full six months before Donald Trump was elected president. That was a lifetime ago. It was such a long time ago. And it's like, well, don't send me – it's like you're not sending me Barry Sanders tweets or Barry Sanders highlights and telling me he can still move like that. Like, recency bias matters. Oh, well, he hung 60 on the Magic. Repeat that sentence. He hung 60 on the Magic. He also played a really good game 1 against Boston and then proceeded to shit the bed in a 4-game sweep. They've won one series since he's been in Brooklyn. They played fewer. I want to say KD and Kyrie played like 42 games together over 3 seasons.
That's
no,
insane.
thank you.
Rondo and Dirk played more games than them.
God, I love that stat. That's incredible stat. Oh, goodness.
But yeah, that's all about I've got for tonight. You have a good one, Kirk. Thanks.
You too, buddy. Thanks so much. All right, coming up next, let's go to Jacob, who's been waiting. How you doing, Jacob?
It's pretty boring night, I guess, when all you got is a second-round pick.
Better than no picks. I mean, and then there's Christian Brunson thing. I feel good about this. I'm really okay. I'm grumpy about some of the particulars, but the big picture, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm chilling too, but I mean, I'm like you though. I've honestly never heard of the guy before we picked him before tonight. So like, I have no idea what the potential looks like. I don't know I don't even know if he was in college or in the G League. So
he was in the G League, and beyond that, I think he didn't shoot the ball very well. Like, I'm in one group chat where someone's like, "Oh, he's a great shooter." I'm like, I don't think that. It's so difficult. Like, do you remember when we drafted Justin Anderson from the University of Virginia 1,000 years ago? He had like an incredible outlier senior season of shooting. It's like when you play 30 basketball games, sometimes if you shoot the ball really well for 20 of them, it can be very misleading. So I don't know. He's young. He's 19. And I'm really surprised the Mavericks took a project, but I don't know. Maybe this front office has earned a little bit of the benefit of the doubt for now.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Even though it's been frustrating for so long, but yeah, I mean, it's just the main conversation obviously tonight has to be about Brunson. I mean, who knows? The Knicks may be just throwing everybody a curveball, and then maybe they're going to go after Kyrie themselves.
Yeah, I think that's in play because that's a bigger home run swing, frankly.
I mean, I guess if you think about it, Kyrie's kind of the Knicks white whale.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I just had to ask you about the whole Kyrie having the Woj tweet that came out earlier today. I think it was Woj. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. Well, let's take a sunny side up approach to the Kyrie thing, because let's think less about Kyrie and more, what does it mean that the Dallas Mavericks were mentioned as a potential trade destination for a guy that garners a lot of respect around the league? That was what was interesting to me, if I'm being positive, because I cannot remember the last time that happened. When was the last time you heard Dallas as, hey, we might want to go here? I mean, even when KP was getting traded, he was not like – he picked like the Spurs and all these other players. Then all of a sudden he was just the Mavericks. So, I don't know. That's interesting to me.
Darren Williams maybe, but, I mean, he didn't outright come out and say, hey, Dallas or Brooklyn or whatever. But as far as I forget the name of the last guy that was just up here. Yeah, what Kyrie brings off the court just far outweighs what he can bring on the court now. Don't get me wrong, still a great basketball player, but he's played only 100 games the past 3 seasons, and that's out of a possible
226. I did the math. I'm a lunatic.
Yeah, that's just he's just too much of a headache, I think.
Yep. Well, with that in mind, I'm sure that means he's going to be a Maverick.
I mean, yeah, I guess the KP trade came out of nowhere. I remember that day. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, so, weird. I mean, I guess, obviously want Jalen back, and like it doesn't really matter how much we pay him, I guess. But I just want to see if not for re-signing him, just to kind of, because the Knicks get on my nerves at least once every so months. Like, I just don't like the Knicks. Didn't they like destroy us at one point earlier in the a couple months ago when we played in New York? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like. We've beat the Knicks like 2 times out of the past 9. It's really maddening.
Yeah, and their fan base, like the whole thing. But I mean, what they're trying to do. I mean, we tried to do it a couple times, didn't really work out for us. Now did it? So.
That's one way to say it. Like, there was a former Mavs Moneyball writer, Andrew Tobolowsky, posted a Facebook memory from 2016 today where he shared a Tim McMahon report that the Mavericks were pursuing Whiteside and what's his name? He's at Utah now. They're the former Memphis point guard.
Utah now. Mike Conley.
Mike Conley. The Mavericks were hopeful in landing both of those, and they were happy to let our guy Chandler Parsons walk. Like, we've seen some dark fucking times in Mavs free agency because of nonsense like cap space. Because Donnie Nelson was terrible at this, paired with Cuban's inability to understand the situation of what was happening at the time. So we're
Whiteside.
Yes. I mean, we're in a good spot overall. Like, we're kind of picking nits because we just got to the Western Conference Finals. So I don't know. I waffle on this from moment to moment.
Yeah. Well, but hey, I'm kind of surprised that no one's brought up KD yet in here.
Yeah. What do you mean?
I mean, there's maybe I'm just kind of talking myself into that. I'm not saying that we could possibly get KD, but I mean, like, the whole
KD.
thing with
My brain is toast.
Let's
speak that shit into existence. Kevin Durant to the Mavericks. You heard it here first, based on nothing other than hope.
No, I mean, hey, it's the tweet that came out after the Kyrie thing in conjunction with Kevin Durant might be monitoring what Kyrie does, and I mean, hey, KD and Luka. I mean, like, surely that's got to intrigue him.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So, I mean, I don't have much beyond that other than speak it into existence.
Well, thanks so much, Jacob. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yo. All right, coming up next, then, let's go with CBA Mavs. How you doing, buddy? Give Scott a second to come out of the chat or figure out where. There he is.
Yeah, I am here. Can you hear me?
What's up, dude?
Perfect. Hey, I just wanted to come on and celebrate and also get worried together, I guess. I don't know, man. The Knicks do dumb things all the time, so I'm not thinking that they've got him for sure, but it does worry me a bit. I don't know who else they would be targeting besides him, but let's talk about the draft. What?
That's exactly right. I mean, it's either Brunson or they're hoping for a bigger swing with Kyrie.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give everybody a couple things I already tweeted out. One is that if we're going to sign Hardy to an actual roster spot, we can only give him the minimum and the maximum we can give him is $953,000 unless we want to cut into our MLE. So anything that you sign him for in the first year above that, or if you're trying to get him on a 3-year deal, would cut into that MLE the amount of the first year of that contract. So to me, it seems like that's all we can do. Now that sets up, if we gave him a 2-year deal at that minimum, it would give us restricted free agent rights on him. And we'd have early bird rights. So someone could poison pill. If all of a sudden he was really good and someone offered him like $20 million a year, we could only pay him that third year up to the early bird rights, which would probably be about $14 million. And then the rest would kind of push the year to the next years for us. But anyway, I don't know. I don't think we'll use the MLE, but we'll likely just get him on a minimum deal. I heard someone say that maybe we'd put him on a 2-way. I just don't see that happening. If we're saying like he's 19th on our board, we're not going to give him a 2-way contract.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, they got the roster spots.
Yep. And then the other thing I do want to say about Brunson, I shot you a direct message about it, but just, what is the problem with overpaying him? And to me, if we're going to give him a 4-year deal, he's going to opt out after 3 years, which is 2025.
I mean, Scott, the problem with this is that we, meaning our fan base, you and me too, you less so because you know the math. Cuban has sold us this bill of goods one way or another for a decade. Like the Kobe Bryant amnesty, that discussion where he was talking to Jeff Skinwade and just used it as a argument to as a point. He's trying to make a point. Like, should NBA teams do this? I mean, the Golden State Warriors just spent like $350 million on their title team. It was worth it. And so it's like, I am done caring about a billionaire's tax bill. I just am. And I know that's probably a little crass for some people because they're going to say, oh, well, what about the Mavs flexibility? Tell me if I'm wrong, Scott. I think if you have a Supermax player, you end up in the tax kind of by default unless your team is awful.
Yeah. Really, unless you've just like completely, like you had said about the Knicks, took it down to the studs, you'd be hard pressed because, I mean, we're not going to get rid of Dorian. We're not going to – we don't need to shed Reggie. That's actually a value
deal.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it quickly adds up. It quickly adds up to $90 million, $100 million before you've gotten to even like 6 players.
Yep.
So
it's tough. I mean, it's the name of the game. And Cuban did not pay this tax from 2011. He didn't pay. He was never in the tax. He might have been over the cap, but the Mavericks were never in the tax since the 2011 title team. They've received payments from around the league from teams that were in the tax, like the rainy day. Like, I've been making jokes in our Mavs Moneyball Slack that like they should have put this money in escrow and hung on to it. And for now, and if they don't have, I don't want to criticize before something like. I'm just saying, if they let it go for money reasons, if I hear money related reasons when you don't have any flexibility in the tax as is, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah. And I guess I'm speaking to all the fans out there who I've seen so many say, well, let him walk. Like, to me, even if we give him the dang max for 4 years and he opts out after the 3rd year, which he probably would because the 2025 spike is going to happen, then like what have we lost? We haven't lost anything, but we've gained a player because in 2022 we're definitely not having cap space. In 2023 we're very much not having cap space. And then 2024, if we sign him for anything, we're not going to have cap space. So Who cares? Who literally cares? Because the only possible cap space is 2025 when several different things come off the books. Yeah. And so if we're gonna give him a 3+1, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter at all. And so if anybody out there thinks, okay, let's just let him walk and then we'll catch it next time we have cap space, it's like, oh, okay, we're going to have cap space the same time he's a free agent. So what is there to actually gain from it? I see it as, man, I'm glad that Cubans came out and said in that one thing, oh, we're going to have luxury tax hell next year. And he was pretty confident, like, hey, we're going to re-sign him. I don't know if this is actually shaking it or not, but if they want to sign him at 23 and it takes 28, then sign him for 28.
Yep.
I don't care.
I don't either. I'm just okay with this. Like, it's where I am. It's not our money. It is in any sort of misunderstanding of the fact of how we got here, where it's like, if you're unhappy with the fact that they paid Tim Hardaway a lot of money, for example, because last year that was kind of part of the deal. Like, they might want to extend Maxi Kleber. Like, there's elements of this where it's just, they're going to be in the tax. And I don't know how to explain that to people who have not paid attention. And it's okay to not pay attention to the salary cap. Like, let me be clear here. But if you're not paying attention to the salary cap, you're going to be really confused about why the Mavericks do and don't do stuff. Until you're like a title contending team, you just kind of got to be in the tax. I mean, do you remember when the Mavs, obviously you remember, when the Mavs beat the Heat, there was an amazing slogan about how the Mavericks were built, not bought. The Mavericks payroll was so much more expensive than the Heat in 2011 because they just acquired guys via trade. Like, I want to say their salary was like 30 million. Like, the Heat salary was like 80 million and the Mavericks was like 112. And it was anyway. It's just the nature of it. I want them to keep a happy team together.
Yeah, and like in that time, the Mavericks To be fair, let's go back a little bit and say Cuban did pay a lot of tax. I know he hasn't paid it since whatever, but if you add up all the tax bills, I think he's still in the top 6, 7, despite not having paid any for like 9 years. And back then it was wild. You know, we were the leader by far for a long time. Anyway, I would just say I think who cares, because look, Sterling Brown and Boban made $5 million or like $6 million last year on our team. Okay, right? Like we can spare an extra $5 million for a player who actually means something and would be a top 3 player on our team the entire time. And he's only 25. He's going to play in his 26, 27, and 28 year the next 3 years. Pay him, keep him. Who cares?
That's right.
I'm gone.
Thanks, man. Talk soon.
See ya.
I'm gone. That's a great way to exit stage. All right, coming up next, let's try Krishna. Krishna, how's the audio today? We gonna get it to work?
Yeah, it should work now.
There we go. What's up?
Stein. And it worked.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing good. So, obviously, interesting night, to say the least. I mean, I think obviously the Wood trade was already a good move. I think, I don't know who put it, it's not no risk, it's just low risk. You gave up 4 guys who don't play in the rotation for a late first round pick that you probably wouldn't have hit on, no matter what it was. For someone who makes $14 million a year, could be a good asset even if he doesn't work out and isn't expiring. That's solid. And then I know people are confused about Jaden Hardy, why do it? But he was number 2 in his class going into college behind Chet. He has a lot of promise. And yeah, he didn't shoot efficiently, and there's no hiding that, but the G League is 12 games. That's 14% of an entire NBA season, which in the long run, he'll have time to develop. He's 19. He has a lot of promise. The Mavs had him at 19 on their draft board. There's a lot of reminiscence of Jalen Brunson. Obviously not the same in terms of Brunson had way more accolades, and it still makes no sense how Dante DiVincenzo went in the first round and Jalen Brunson was a second round pick. It still makes no sense to me. I'll be honest. Mikal Bridges, I understand it. Dante DiVincenzo, solid player. I would take him on the Mavs, but over Jalen Brunson, I'm still confused. But yeah, and then on the Jalen Brunson thing, you pay him whatever he wants. Guess what? Salary cap does not do anything. Teams with salary cap, typically they're really bad.
That's right.
Look at all the teams with salary cap this offseason. The Pistons, the Spurs, the Knicks are going to have salary cap. You want to be one of those teams? You want to be a team not in the playoffs? That's what the Mavs were from 13 all the way to 18, basically. A team with salary cap that no one wanted to play on. So you had guys like Monte Ellis, who I liked and was fine, or Sam Dalembert. I don't get what Mavs fans are saying, oh, you're overpaying. Well, guess what? The salary cap also increases, and that deal will also look better because guess who's on the Miami Heat right now, who the Mavs tried to get last year? Kyle Lowry, who makes $30 million a year.
Yeah.
I would say Jalen Brunson is a better player, a lot younger than Kyle Lowry right now. So I would pay, if he somehow gets $30 million, which is possible, I would pay him $30 million.
Right. I'm there with you on that.
Don't mean much in the long run. And yeah, it's just, you're worrying about something that wouldn't happen. We've been in the Knicks situation before where you just dump all this cap for one person. The problem is NBA teams are not one player. Everyone can say during the postseason that it was Luka and a bunch of nobodies, but you needed guys like Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxey and Reggie and to some extent Dwight Powell for chemistry. And Jalen, you need guys to play because unfortunately Luka can't play all 5 positions at all times. So it's to me it's kind of preposterous when I hear people say oh, just let him walk or sign and trade. When does any team win a sign and trade where they give the best player?
Well, and that's
never. It's just kind of baffling to me.
I mean, the sign and trade stuff is also logistically extremely difficult. Like CBA Mavs, who's just up here, wrote a really lengthy piece. So it's just in my head, despite the fact of being it's like technically possible to do it, it doesn't sound likely. So to me, this is just a fairly straightforward thing where you figure it out later. And draft capital, this seems to be the first draft in some time where draft capital was not quite, it wasn't like the most highly valued thing. You watch what the Knicks sort of gave up to, and then you look at like the Christian Wood thing, you look at the Jeremy Grant thing, where maybe in the future draft picks, like maybe we're swinging back around.
I think it's dependent, right? Like,
on what? What do you mean?
Like, I think this draft also, like, it's not like a 2018 draft where you could argue 4 of the top 5 picks are really great players, like DeAndre Ayton, Jaren Jackson Jr., Luka, and Trey. They're great players.
Right.
Like, they're players that are going to be on a winning team. This draft is all potential. Like, you could argue Paolo Banchero and Jabari Smith, like, they would not go top 5. Maybe they would go top 5 in 2018.
I mean,
but
or
like,
even next year. I mean, the stuff
exactly.
Of like it's the Victor Wembanyama draft with Scoot Henderson existing, and I'm not sure if you seen the Thompson twins?
Yes, they're insane. That's the thing, right? Like, it's. But I think what's interesting is, like, when you're a team like the Mavericks, you need to take these chances now, lower in the draft. But it's like a balance because you don't have a championship team yet. Like, you haven't proven you can make it to the finals and win a finals. But you need to build these pieces right now. Like, if you don't do anything in the draft, that's a problem. But if you do everything outside of the draft, it's a problem. And I keep thinking about this quote, and it's probably not exact, but Draymond talked about it when the Mavs were facing the Warriors. And he talked about how when Nico was an executive at Nike, Nico is a guy who just took risks. He took risks no one else would take because he just had confidence in himself, and he felt like, I don't really care what others are saying, but I have the confidence that this will work. And I don't know how many people I wouldn't have gone into the season saying, Mavs are going to make the Western Conference Finals, KP is not going to be on the team, and your starting 5 is going to be Luka, Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, and Dwight Powell, who's going to play 5 minutes a game. Like, if you told any Mavs fan that, they would have called you insane. I'm pretty sure.
I was not bullish on the team at all. I mean, I somehow picked them to win 52 games, but how they won 52 games is crazy.
And they could have won more. Like, you lost games that were pretty bad, like Orlando. You lost games to, like, Orlando and OKC back-to-back. You probably shouldn't lose those games. You could argue then you won games against, like, Boston, which were, like, insane. So that's the thing, right? And obviously, okay, everyone talks about the West is going to get better. When does the West not get better? Like, we say that every single year. The West is going to get better. And the thing is, it's always going to be competitive. Like, I don't ever think it's not going to be competitive in a conference. But it's like you said, when you have a guy like Luka, who's a potential top 5 player, an MVP candidate, you can't relax. This is not like, you can't compare it to Dirk in some ways because Dirk in his early years was not this good. Dirk was not MVP level in like 2001, 2002. Luka has been MVP level arguably since like 2 years ago.
He was Dirk was third team All NBA, and only because of a late rush his third season. Like, nothing like Luka. So sorry to cut you off, buddy. Didn't mean to. You still there?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, so no, I mean, you're right. Like, Luka's made the first team All NBA 3 times in a row. That's what stuff Hall of Famers do in their first 4 years. Like, I don't mean to get like really project so far, but Luka's on a trajectory we've not seen in Mavericks history.
I mean, in NBA.
And I think Nico gets that, you know? And I think Nico gets like, hey, I have a guy here who is on a trajectory that NBA history, forget Mavs. Yeah, exactly. Forget Mavs history. He's on a trajectory of like insanity, obviously defense, but like you can't just sit here and say, oh, we're going to clear cap space and let, the guy who is really good friends with Luka and also, had a bunch of points and basically carried us while Luka was out. We're just going to let him walk to a team that's bad. All this to say, solid night. Rumors are rumors. I mean, there was rumors that DeAndre Jordan was going Mavs and then he signed with the Clippers. Like, until I's are dotted and things are signed, I'm not going to like put all my baskets in this fact that the Knicks are somehow getting Jalen Brunson. Like, it doesn't mean anything, if we're being honest.
I hear you. Well, thanks for hanging out tonight.
Sorry that. Thank you. It was a long spiel. I know. I'm sure everyone in the discussion is like, what is wrong with this guy?
Great. This is great. Thanks for much. Thanks for I'm sorry we couldn't get you up last time. I'm glad the internet worked out tonight. Talk soon, okay? All right. Let's go with my man Wiley, who's been waiting a while. What's up? Wiley, are we still there? Give him just a second. Yeah, Shaq's kid signing with the Lakers is great stuff. There is a 10-day contract out there for not 10-day, Exhibit 10 contract from a big man named Marcus Bingham.
Hello.
Hey, there we are. What's going on? Wiley, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How are you doing? I can.
Just trying to stay quiet with the baby in the room. So
yeah, this is a true Mavs fan. I appreciate this. What can we do for you tonight? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking the draft went okay. All things considered, if you look at the Christian Wood move as part of the draft, we traded down from 26 to 37. Got a starting center, and then got a high upside, young player to, maybe play a little bit this year, probably play a little bit more in the next year or two.
Hope so, but we'll see.
Yeah. Re-sign Brunson. I agree with you. I don't think there's any way they let him go. If they do, poverty franchise, I guess. Like, what else are you supposed to do at that point? I think the Knicks might be looking at Brogdon or Kyrie too. Like, it's obvious they're looking at Brunson, but there's a couple point guards out there there's trade rumors with right now.
Right. I'm not sure what the Knicks are going to do. This is just, it feels like a mutually assured destruction thing where they're like so deep into this where they don't really have any other choice but to keep going. But, we're going to find out soon.
Yeah. But that's it for me. Good green room so far. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for waiting so long to talk. We'll talk soon. Hope you come back.
Take it easy.
All right. A couple more folks, then we're going to go. My man Sam, thanks for waiting so long. What's up?
Oh, no, you're good. Nothing much, man. So I'll try to make mine quick, too. First of all, with that cap space, I don't ever want to hear the Mavericks talk about cap space ever again because, like I've always said whenever I come into these Spotify lives, the Miami Heat got Jimmy Butler with no cap space. So if that can happen, fuck cap space. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't ever want to hear nothing about cap space. So that's first of all. Second of all, hey, if Jalen Brunson wants $30 million, give that man $30 million. You got to eat it because every year things change. I mean, hell, look at 2016 whenever the Warriors got Durant. The only reason they got Durant was because the cap happened to spike that year and they got lucky. And who knows what could happen 2 years from now. The cap's going to go up, obviously, so we know that's going to happen. So that's going to free up some type of space, I feel like. So that's that. And third, this is just my mind just thinking because I have nothing else to do in my life. So a theory that I may have, which I don't think is true, but it's just a theory that I have. Let's just say they re-sign Brunson. I wanted them to draft E.J. Liddell if they got that second-round pick, which I was hoping they did, but they got Jalen Hardy, which I'm not mad at. That's still cool. But he's another guard. We got guards.
Where did Liddell end up?
With the Pelicans.
Ugh.
Yeah, they're going to be crazy. But but my thought is, I don't know if it's a possibility, or I don't know if anybody would think about this, but do you think the Mavericks are saying, okay, because I would just assume at this point they're going to try to get Goran Dragic in free agency, so that would be another guard. Do you think they may be considering maybe trying to trade like a Spencer Dinwiddie or Tim Hardaway Jr. for something? Maybe.
I think they try to move Timmy no matter what, but I don't think they succeed. I will say, when you read stuff about Hardy, and please correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, I'm seeing his wingspan is ridiculous. And so you never want to play like small guys, but if you have a plus wingspan, you can sometimes get away with stuff. It's like how Spencer Dinwiddie kept getting to the damn rim. So, obviously he's not wing size, like 6'3", 6'4", but makes me wonder if, you can try some funky lineups from time to time. So I don't know. I still think the Mavericks need wing depth. Like I ran this poll on Mavs Moneyball where it's like, who do you want, bigs, wings, or guards? And it was 50% wings, 47% voted on bigs, and 3% voted on guards. And it's hilarious that the Mavericks ended up with a guard.
Hell, Kevin Durant tweeted, it's all about wings. So we need wings.
We do need wings. God, I'm such a thirsty bitch for KD. I can't even head down that path. I've loved Kevin Durant since the moment I saw him play at the University of Texas. I can't do it.
I'll never believe anything just because I remember the year that he did sign with Golden State. I remember I woke up and I was like, what? So until I see something that's official, from Shams or Woj, even though they were kind of like on crack tonight, I don't know what was wrong with them. But if I see something like that, then we'll go down that path. But all in all, we got Christian Wood. We got Jaden Hardy. I just hope to see him in Summer League, not like Josh Smith, where he didn't even play in Summer League last year for God knows why. So Hopefully he plays and we can maybe find a diamond in the rough. Like we still got guys. I still like I don't know why I like him, but what was that guy? Oh my God, now I forgot his name. That was on the Mavericks that they picked up. What is his name? He was from the Clippers. I can't remember his name now, but he was like a two-way guy, but whatever. I can't think of his name.
I have no idea what you're talking about at the moment. That's okay. I'm very tired.
Yeah, they picked him up. They picked him up late in the year, and he was just on the bench with like Theo Pinson and Tim Hardaway.
Oh, the guy with like the 7'2" wingspan. Yeah, I don't think he plays. I think he disappears into the, like John Lovitz in The Wedding Singer when he's like he's losing his mind. And that's that guy. Yeah.
I don't know. I just think maybe you could find somebody and just. You just find a diamond in the rough type.
Sure.
Thing. So, I don't know. That's all I got. Just get ready for the free agency and get ready for Summer League.
That's right. Talk soon, buddy. Thanks so much.
Have a good night.
Yep. And for anybody that hasn't really been paying a ton of attention, if you really want to get spicy with your basketball viewing habits, Luka Doncic plays in a friendly matchup against Italy on Saturday at 1:30 p.m. I think it'll be very difficult to find a stream because most of Slovenia can't even watch this game. And then next week, they play World Cup qualifiers. They play one on Thursday against Croatia, which is supposed to be just a crazy game. Like apparently the entire game sold out in less than like 45 minutes. And then they play Sweden, but that might be a couple of days after. Anyways, go ahead and look for that. All right, we got one last person coming up. My man Marcellus, what's happening?
Kirk, can you hear me?
I can. Thanks for joining.
What's going on with you, baby?
Tired. I just kind of hit a wall about 10 minutes.
Well, I won't keep you up here too long. Okay. And I appreciate you having me on here. Since Sam was the last one up there, I just want to say I think KD said in his tweet it's all about the wings. The wings play in Dallas. KD played college in Texas, so KD to Dallas confirmed.
And KD said it had a shout out for new Texas new Texas commit Arch Manning today. I mean, I'm here for it.
Hey, I also love the resurfacing the Dwight Powell Achilles tweet too. So I love the support from all the Mavs fans out there.
He apparently follows Christian Wood on Instagram. Like Christian Wood is like if you want to go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole, there's some fun KD stuff until he gets traded to the Suns.
Well, Hey, I just want to speak on some of the people that you brought up today.
Sure.
Man. I love the positivity with the Mavs fans. Obviously, I wish Scott was still up there, but a very Kobe moment with the Mamba out deal. But the last time we spoke was about draft picks, and you mentioned that you didn't want the Mavs to trade away their draft picks. So I think that you and Christian did a great job in reiterating how we just as people, we just have a thing about recency bias. Had this Christian Wood deal happen tonight, I think we'd be over the moon with that trade.
I certainly agree. I mean, just so not to toot my own stupid horn, it was mainly because I had, Kevin O'Connor and Mark Stein in here. We had 1,800 people in here for 3 hours losing our shit about that. Like, if that
I was
tonight,
one of them, so I remember that.
Like,
sure.
We would have like, if this is tonight, we'd all be screaming. It was great. So, yeah, I'm still riding from it, even though I'm like mildly skittish about Christian Wood, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, and this might be a hot take, but you have to think that, like, with us just trading a late first-round draft pick for Christian Wood, you have to think that, well, that along with the cap space epidemic right now, that we drove down the price point for those third stars that are going to these poverty franchising and putting up gaudy numbers.
Right.
I wrote down like 9 takes, but I won't take too.
Keep going. I don't care. That's what we're
No.
for.
It's I just think that going back to the Christian thing, with you all talking about Christian Wood, obviously, and then you reiterating your place on Jalen Brunson and how you thought that should have been. I think that the media is just, and that's just in general, the media is just put in place to stir up controversy. So, of course, they're going to talk about the Knicks and all the moves that they're making tonight so that it makes people nervous. They're going to tune into ESPN, see what Jalen Brunson is going to do. But I think that you're right. I was kind of skittish with paying him the amount that we probably will end up paying him at the end of the day. But, whatever is necessary to keep him at this point, because truthfully, it really doesn't matter.
It's funny because the Woj stuff is starting to get a little uncomfortable because the way he reports news nowadays, Ethan Sherwood-Strauss wrote this crazy long piece on Woj. Mark Stein threw something into his last newsletter where it's just like the way ESPN covers news now makes it feel like they treat the news itself as a commodity to be bargained for other news. And, Woj was basically a fucking New York Knicks cheerleader tonight. He got on TV and said some stuff where I'm just like, what is happening? like there's like implicit East Coast bias, which happens where it's like you're watching and they're like, oh, is Giannis going to leave the Bucks for 4 years? And then there's what happened tonight. And I just pulled this up on our Mavs Moneyball Slack. Like, I want to say that, he Woj is repped by CAA, I think, and like half the Knicks front office guys are CAA guys. Like, it's a conflict of interest. Like, it is what it is. You just kind of go with it, but it drove me nuts a little bit tonight.
No, I agree with you 100%. Going into our draft pick with Jaden Hardy, I know that they mentioned they reminded him of a Buddy Hield type. I know that we've been linked to Buddy Hield quite a bit. Everybody says that they see him in Dallas. I feel like he works out. My boy's seen him in Dallas at least twice, and I feel like he works out here every single summer.
He does.
But when I see him, I immediately thought of Tim Hardaway Jr., and I know that you all mentioned it a little bit earlier. You would have to think that, this has to lead to them at least attempting to move Tim Hardaway Jr., and I know that they did try before the injury last year, but, you would have to think that this is reiterating that point too.
Yeah.
And then just as, as Mavs fans, obviously we, myself included, we kind of just hang on to your word and other people's words, just being reporters and having sources and very close with the organization on where you think that the organization is going to go next. So I just didn't know if you could kind of reiterate where you see the Mavericks moving. And I wish Scott was still up here as well, so that he can explain kind of where the Mavericks could move, but where you see the Mavericks moving for the rest of this summer. Like, what are some realistic opportunities for us?
Well, a lot of it hinges on the Brunson thing because I think that'll set the tone. But for the short term, I think we all owe is not the right word. I think the Mavericks have earned a little bit of a benefit of the doubt that I was like the Donnie Nelson shit. I was done with that stuff by the end of 2016. And when I kept hearing nonsense about the brain trust and yada, 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 whatever marketing lines they fed to the people who were most willing to regurgitate them. Now I feel like you get to the Western Conference Finals, you just like you've earned it. And so the short term is I feel very good about where they're going. If they lose Jalen Brunson, I'm going to have to reassess that. I'm going to be very frustrated by it, but I don't.
You and me both.
Yeah, but I don't want to kill them too much because it's like it hasn't happened yet. And until it happens, or if it happens, or if it doesn't happen, there's no, like, I've been really pissy on this podcast, and I don't mean to be, but it's just like it revs me up because it's like you could have had him for $4.55. It is what it is. But I think that we should all kind of feel very happy about where they are until they give us a reason to say that they're not. Like, you lose Jalen Brunson, then maybe we talk about, sending Luka on a man mission to Mars for a year and figure out how to get Wembanyama. I don't know. But the money-wise stuff, Scott talked about that a little bit. They're not going to have a lot of options while you have Luka on a max deal. You're probably never going to have cap space again. It's okay. They'll figure out a way around it. That's what we pay these guys for. I mean, Nico's a relationship guy. Michael Finley knows a lot of the business side of it. He's learned for years. And then they brought in that former Brooklyn Nets cap guy. So it's just I have zero reason to question what's going on right now.
I agree. And I think you can't lose Brunson at this point. And I think that you kind of spoke on that a little bit earlier, but I appreciate you having me up. Obviously, all the Mavs fans, Krishna with the power of positivity. But thanks so much for your time. And obviously, Scott with the Mamba out moment there.
That was great. That was outstanding.
Yeah, that was super dope. So, no, thanks for your time, Kirk. I appreciate it.
Yeah, talk soon, man. All right. I know that there are 2 Hardy pieces up on MavsMoneyball.com. Josh Bowe, I think, is lurking and listening to this podcast. He's been grinding and doing editing. I'm going to have Luke Askew on tomorrow, who had some Jaden Hardy thoughts, but had to go to bed because he has to take someone to the airport early in the morning. So he and I will probably record tomorrow. That'll come tomorrow afternoon if I'm able to get it up. This will go up on your podcast feed as short as we can. And then next week, it's kind of the countdown to free agency, where I need to get some of the dates and stuff correct. But if I'm looking at my calendar here, I think that at around 6 p.m. Eastern on June 30th is when we can kind of start getting like legal reports of what's happening when. So a lot of this Brunson stuff is going to clear itself up pretty soon. Okay, guys, it's been Kirk Henderson of Mavs Moneyball. This has been Mavs Party. We're all real excited. Everybody be good. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we will all talk soon.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.